call the meeting to order. Do roll call first.
Mr. Chu?
Here.
Ms. Douglas? Mr. Hamilton?
Here.
Ms. Hudlin?
Here.
Mr. Jacobson? Ms. Mikowski? Mr. Morrison?
Here.
Ms. Salmon?
Here.
Ms. Waller?
Okay, and I think we have a quorum. Any changes to the agenda I should know about? I did not hear anything before the meeting. Okay, next would be approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. I know you all had a draft of the minutes sent to you in your meeting packet. Let me know did anybody find any errors or anything you wanted to comment on? Okay, if there aren't any corrections, then the minutes will stand approved as they were distributed. The next order of business is going to be public input. Oh, there's Eric.
We can do it.
So we can certainly do that. Sure. Can I have approval of the minutes?
I move we
So
approve the
moved.
minutes
Second?
Okay.
for today's presentation.
Okay, and I don't believe we have any public input.
At some point?
Oh.
Maybe some point?
Yes. And I was just reminded, we should have, first of all, welcome Lisa. This is her first meeting. Lisa, you just want to say quickly who you are and...
I'm Lisa Hachadorian. I'm the new public arts coordinator here for Urbana. I've been here for about a month so far, and I've met most of you. I think there's maybe one or two of you that I haven't met before, but I'm very excited about being part of the public art process and the city, and look forward to working with you.
Welcome. So welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have communications, and the first thing will be an Urbana Arts Grants presentation by Dr. Raymond Morales. Welcome.
Thank you for having me. My microphone is working. Okay. Good afternoon to you all. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. My presentation is part of the closure of the grant reception process, and so today I'd like to go through the final report. As I did last year when I received the grant, the first thing I did was to showcase some of the artwork. So for some of you, or all of you, should have a copy of the CD on your desk, which is the album that we produced through the grant, featuring many different artists from throughout the community. Artwork was done by, most of it by, at least was done by Chris Evans, and the rest of it was done by myself, including the CD cover. So the first thing I do was to show this video, which is track number 19 on the album, and was done by an artist who was a student, David Wetner, an amazingly talented artist. And I'll just play his piece because you guys may not realize this, but the way that each track was produced on this album is that I recorded each artist individually in the booth, audio-wise for the poetry. Afterward, I had a composer add a musical score to each poetry piece. So it's a little bit different process, but you'll see what it looks like here.
Routine maintenance. Hello, my dear. How are you feeling? Are you ready for another day on the job? I see you're hard at work. That's very good. I trust that you will have the place prepared for our customers later this evening. Wonderful. It's so nice outside, don't you think? You know, you don't talk to me as often as you used to. Is something wrong? Should we have another discussion? Good. Just thought I'd ask. I did have a word with Alex today. He told me you haven't been doing your share of the work around here. Some of our clients have been complaining. Do I need to remind you where you would be right now if not for him? If not for me? I've had to remind the others, and it was not the most pleasant experience. Have you forgotten that we were the ones who took you in? That you were the one in need? Now, no need to get defensive. Just finish cleaning up and get dressed, please. You already have 3 clients who have requested your services. I must say, you are quite popular among our customers, locals and tourists alike. Come now, my dear, you knew this was coming. Are you refusing to do something so simple, something to which you should be accustomed by now? I think we do need to have another discussion with Alex. I think he and I both need to remind you that you are indebted to us until we decide otherwise. This is, after all, the reason we keep you alive, my dear. You think it's bad doing this job without pay, day after day in these conditions, but be glad we let you rest at all. We've worked others to death in the past. And do you know how easily we could replace you? You should be grateful. But fine, go ahead. Refuse to cooperate. Try to escape if you want. If the watchdogs don't get you, then the local police will, I'm sure. We're very good friends with them. And even if we do lose you, we'll just find another desperate soul just like you. God knows there's plenty of them all over the world, all ripe for the picking. And when that one dies or escapes, we'll find 2 more and 4 more after them, and so on. In fact, why don't we return to your hometown? I do recall that you had a younger sibling who I'm sure would love to take over your position. Just remember, my dear, that you are a cheap, disposable, easily replaceable cog in our machine. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have yelled at you. You know how I get when you don't follow orders. I'm just maintaining the routine. Keeping you in shape is all. You know that Alex and I will always be here for you, to protect you, to feed you, to clothe you. You know that both Alex and myself love you very, very much. We just don't always know how to show it. But know that as long as you stay with us, and you do as you're told, you will receive all the love and care that you desire. Tell you what, I'll finish cleaning up here and you go get ready to meet your clients for the night. Don't keep them waiting.
So the topic of that piece was about human trafficking, which unfortunately overtakes about 27 million plus individuals worldwide. And so that's
Routine
kind of
maintenance.
the focus of that piece. Pause that again. Sorry for that. So that's one of the 19 pieces on there. It's actually track number 18, so I apologize for the error by David. So I wanted to start with that just to showcase some of the work. It's the only one that sort of is in a monologue style. The others are more prose oriented, and so, yeah. So what did we do with this project? The title of this project was Ill Poet Society Volume 2, the Aaron Ammons Project, focused on Aaron Ammons, who's an amazing artist within the local community and who's done many open mics for years and years. And so it was an opportunity for me to work with him, along with other artists that he sort of brought to the table throughout the years. Outline of some of the issues we'll be discussing here: goals, outcomes, budget, time, and some closing thoughts. So what are some of the things we set out to do? Obviously to produce this album, along with the live events where we showcase different artists. So we had an event on June 29th, along with last year, along with a release event in February 6th, I believe it was, along with collaboration with various individuals. Here's the next, the dates where we held the events. One was at the Quad, the other was at Krannert Art Museum. We actually intended the second one to be at the Independent Media Center, but for logistic reasons and for political reasons, it had to be at the Krannert Art Museum, and so, yeah, wasn't not a big deal. The event was very successful. At the Quad event, probably about 50 or so people showed up. To the Krannert Art Museum, over 100 people showed up. We actually, we wanted to have the CDs there for people to pick up at the event. The production people slowed the process down by a day or two, so ended up not getting there on time. So I had to get everyone's emails who was present and then individually mail them to them afterward or hand them to them physically, which was an arduous task, but got done nonetheless. Because of this project, I was able to collaborate with 15 different artists, not only the people who produced the poetry, which included myself and 9 other artists, but the person who produced the score, people who produced the artwork, the video that you saw, and a couple different aspects of it to contribute in different ways. How do we measure the outcomes? We also, not only showcasing it here and had the events, but we also put some of the content on UPTV, UITV, putting on RFU, the same mechanisms we used on the last album for the most part to showcase the artwork. Here's the flyer for the first event we had on June 29th. We brought down Brandon Explicit, who's an amazing professional poet who travels the country. He came down here, did pretty much an hour of poetry in the Quad for folks. It was actually raining that day, unfortunately, so I was holding the umbrella for him most of the time, but it's still entertaining nonetheless. We had the release event, which transpired for February 6th. This image I drew myself and features every single artist. That image is also on the CD itself, if you look in the CD. I drew all that. These are pictures from the performance on February 6th with different folks from the community. Even we had a school of children from Rantoul high school students who actually were present there, and some of them even performed. This is one of the artists who performed from Rantoul High School. CD cover, obviously. This is a breakdown of the different hours into different ways that they were put into the album. The vast majority was into the production. So you think, you know, as someone, you're going to go in there and you're going to record stuff and that's it. But there's a lot of nitpicky stuff that goes into just, you know, even laying out the artwork just took hours into itself. You know, it was a pain in the butt. But task of love. So a breakdown of all the budget. We were able to not only use funds from the Urbana Arts Grant, we were able to collaborate with the Independent Media Center UIUC chapter to leverage funds from SORF. And some of them, we just went over budget, so had to just absorb some of those costs. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Went too far. In terms of impact, in terms of the album, it was an amazing experience. I loved working with each and every individual artist. It was dope. I loved every moment of it. I plan on producing another spoken word album/book for myself. I think having gone through this experience, I feel that producing poetry, I think for everyone, some sort of art, writing, etc., is very, it's not therapy, but it's therapeutic. It's cathartic. I think once things are written down for me, I sort of remove myself from the emotion, so I see myself doing this further. Obviously, we've gone to various means to amplify the impact. So this album is available at every local community center, whether it's the UP Center here in the IMC, or the Champaign-Urbana Public Library, or the Urbana Free Library. All the cultural houses on campus have a copy. The libraries are still cataloging it, so it may not be available explicitly yet for like another week or two. I gave it to them like February 7th or 8th, and it takes them about a month to catalog it, but it is available there. We've put it on the web, we put it on TV, on radio, so we've tried to amplify the impact, not just the physical hard copy, the 200 that we produced, of course, which all of you have now a copy, but also through these different mechanisms. So that's it. I mean, for some of the files, you want to go there and download the first or second album. It's available on the website, theshow1045.com, unless you're one of those lucky few who happen to get a physical copy, which like some of you are. At this point, I'll open the floor for any questions you have for me about the album and the project in general.
Well, it sounds like it was very well done, and you certainly did a good job of distributing and getting it out there for the public to appreciate it. Anybody want to make any comments?
Just in terms of the distribution of the digital files, are you looking at having that anywhere else besides your own website, like archive.org or the Free Music Archive or some of these places out there where these things?
I hadn't really thought about it. You know what's crazy? Actually, I want to thank folks at UPTV and Jason and Jake. Jason submitted the last project, one of the videos we produced, to some Midwest Video Arts Contest, and apparently we won one of the awards for the video we produced from the first album. And we have which is great. And I think this album will potentially, with some of the videos we produced, would be in the same caliber, if not better. But I had not thought about that. I'm sort of wrapping up and graduating in 50 days. Knock on wood, right? And so I hadn't really thought about that, but I would definitely appreciate any input and where to put it.
Anyone else?
Oh, and I should say we did have 2 articles written on us, one in The Buzz and one in Smile Politely, prior to the album produced to advertise the event and album release.
Yeah,
Yes.
What are you doing after you graduate?
In March 21st, I will be finding out via the match system as to where I'm going for residency. I'm a PhD and I'm also an MD, getting my PhD, and I'll be doing pediatrics either in California or New York, pending the March 21st decision at noon when I log into the system.
So what is your specialty, or would you like to specialize in something?
Apply to pediatrics, and then after that, hopefully I'll be doing pediatric cardiology moving forward. So doing some sort of research along the way, molecular cardiology.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, thanks very much.
Well, everyone should go vote for Carol Ammons, some state rep. Anything else? Cool.
That's it. Thanks
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, next we're going to have the monthly progress report.
So this is an update on current projects. With the Martin Luther King Jr. Park project, the sculpture is going to actually be dedicated on April 19th on a Saturday, and between now and the next Public Arts Commission meeting, we'll have more details on actual events and times and things like that. The Urbana Arts Grants Program, we have completed, the jury panels have completed their recommendations, and I'll be talking about them at the new business part of the meeting. Boneyard Creek Public Art, Jack Mackey is still completing his final work on that project, and it's actually looking like that the installation and the park itself will be dedicated in early August 2014. Fundraising, I actually went to a meeting with the Illinois Community Foundation along with Mike Brunk from our city arborist. He actually just invited me, and just to put this out there, that this could be a solution to some of the solicited fundraising issues that we've been having. And we can talk about that now or later. Marketing subcommittee, we are in the process of meeting for our annual planning, but I've been working along with other city programs to promote arts in new ways. I partnered with the Market in the Square to buy some slides at the Art Theater, and I don't think we've done that before, so that'll be promoting both the city arts and Market in the Square probably for the next 6 months or so. Downtown Arts Subcommittee, again, we're still in the process of meeting and planning, and there's a lot of different projects going on, and I talked about Boneyard. And annual planning, that is still going on. We're right in the middle of planning and budgeting, and hopefully we can have a document to you by the next meeting by April 8th. Art Now, in our March episode, Rosalind Feynman Weinberg was profiled, a painter and printmaker in town, and this was actually a repeat episode, but I think we're going to be having a new episode for the next one. Artist of the Corridor, a new Artist of the Corridor exhibition by Jason Patterson, an Urbana artist, opened on February 28th with his portrait paintings of historical figures, and you can see that out in the lobby. And what I think we have on tap, if I can firm it up for May through July, is the Legacy Tree artwork from Leal Elementary. Art at the Market, I've been working with the director of the Market in the Square, and I've booked all of the, actually I've set the dates for all of the performances in the workshops, and now I just have to do the call for artists and actually find the performers and book them. So that's my goal for the next week or so. Marketing, I'm regularly updating Facebook and Twitter and trying to gather more fans and support as we go along. And grants, I'm right in the middle of working on our Illinois Arts Council grant, which is due on Monday. Upcoming events, the Urbana Arts Grant announcement celebration, we're probably going to be picking that date very soon, hopefully end of March, maybe early April at the most. And I should have that to you again by the, actually, never mind. April 19th, as I said, the King Parkshire sculpture will be dedicated. April 10th through the 13th is the Boneyard Arts Festival. May 3rd, Market in the Square begins, and I just wanted to add 2 more events. We're going to be having a presence, both the city and the Market in the Square, at the Illinois Marathon Expo on April 24th and 25th, and at the Working Women's Expo on April 24th. So that concludes my monthly progress report.
Okay, thanks, Lisa. Okay, next we're going to move to old business, which would be further discussion about the request we had from the Folk and Roots Festival for permanent funding. I'm just throwing it open for discussion. Is there anyone who would like to start? Yeah, Ilona, go ahead.
I noticed in the list of grantees
Mm-hmm.
that they have received $2,500
Mhm.
for this coming
Right.
year also.
Yes.
So I am wondering how this gonna be coordinated with the discussion about permanent funding and permanent funding for the Roots Festival.
I'm sorry, did you want to go ahead, Kevin?
I just want, this isn't an answer to that, Ilona, but I really felt, in thinking about our last discussion, that it's really important that we not make decisions about policies about future funding in relationship to a specific event or cause. I think that's not wise of us. I think we need to have that discussion about, in general, the sort of philosophy of how we might want to approach recurrent funding, if we think that's a good use of city funds. But to make that decision in relationship to one event seems really unwise to me. So I'd appreciate keeping this conversation going as a broad theoretical philosophical question about the use of our funds.
I'm sorry, did you want to say, Bob?
I would agree with you. I'm not saying that we shouldn't, as time goes by, we might revisit our policies, and legally we need to review, or we have our counsel here to advise us if we say something out of line here, in case we want to change from one plan of action to another in the future, but we would have to go through a review process, I would think, and approval before any major change would. That's not to say that a group could not continue to reapply on an annual basis. There are other groups that apply from year to year and they fall into a different certain categories, and they get funding sometimes more regularly. So I'm not saying they couldn't be eligible, and I certainly want to support any group that helps enhance the environment in our community and strengthen our community. But I think we need to follow our procedures so far, or at least just review them in case we want to amend them. But we can't do it blanketly so quickly.
Yeah, go ahead, Eric.
Well, I don't think that there's any entity of the city, certainly the city itself only makes one-year budgets. And we can't make more than a year budget. On the other hand, I think the Folk and Roots Festival has some extraordinary potential. And have we brought Natalie Marquez into the discussion? Because Natalie is really the person who has the portfolio of developing Urbana as a tourism destination.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the Folk and Roots Festival has doesn't just have the potential. I think that it's shown that it has the capability to do that. So I would suggest, if we haven't done that, to bring Natalie into the conversation, if you think that's right. She's in your domain, Tom. Yeah.
Yes, I work with Natalie. Natalie has been involved specifically when the folks from Folk and Roots came to meet with the mayor about funding from the city outside of the Public Arts Commission. Natalie was involved in that discussion. Right. And the Folk and Roots Festival does receive smaller than what they've gotten through Public Arts Commission, but they do receive promotional funding from the city's marketing efforts. In other words, if an event comes to the city and says we would like support from the city, we ask them what promotional opportunities are there through your event. Do you have a program guide? Do you do advertising? Will you put our logo on your advertising? Folk and Roots has done that, and so they've gotten some funding through our marketing efforts outside of Public Arts Commission. And Natalie has been involved with discussions with the mayor's office. So I don't know where those are going, in that the mayor will have some decision-making related to the festival on, city resources. But Natalie has been involved in the discussion.
If I could ask one more follow-up, do you think that there's any chance of support from the UBA, the Urbana Business Association? Do they ever, engage in this sort of thing?
I think there has been some support for the event through UBA. Now, I believe there's been a small level of financial support, but I'll have to double check that. But UBA, I believe, has given support for Folk and Roots in the past, and I think they're planning to into the future. But I can find out for sure what UBA's support has been.
Yeah, in case you're not aware of it, UBA does also give some money, or has been giving some money to the pool for the grants in general. They gave us, I think, $5,000 over the last, 3 years? Okay, 5 years?
Well, initially it was $15,000 the first year, and then it's been $5,000 for the past 4 years or so.
Right. Okay.
Plus the Arts at the Market presentations, they also help support some of the funding for the performances.
Is that true? I'm not sure.
That's what it says in our notes.
Oh, okay.
I read them.
Okay.
Has there ever
Well,
been another request like this? I mean, is there any
No.
sort of pressure? No, okay.
No. I do want to say that I am a little reluctant to just come out and say we're going to do this right now, because it kind of would put us in the position of playing favorites and determining which groups or individuals we're going to get permanent funding. I think it would be difficult to come up with some hard and fast guidelines that you could use to justify that. For instance, would it be number of attendees, the kind of art, the demographic group served? And those are things that can change over time. So I think if we did decide to do that in the future, we would have to give a lot of thought to what criteria we would use to do that. The other thing, of course, is if we have, I'm sorry? Oh, yeah, Greg. Okay, that's okay. Also wanted to say that, of course, if we commit to do some kind of permanent funding, that does mean that we are committed to paying out the same amount of money each year, regardless of whether our budget goes down. And of course, it reduces the amount of money that's going to be available as seed money for new projects. And I know if you've looked at what we're doing for this next cycle, there are several projects in there that I think could become larger and permanent recurring over time. So, while you're fostering and helping one thing, you're taking money away that might start other projects that could also be valuable. So I just wanted to make that statement. Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, I think I know we're talking about general different types of projects that might be applying for this sort of thing, but certainly this one and many others probably have some recording potentials. Certainly folk festivals in the past have had a big finance affiliation with recording. Often labels are involved as well and things like that, and I'm wondering if that's been a part of the mix that's been used in past years for this festival.
Yeah, I don't know, honestly.
One other principle I think would be good to have in play in these kind of discussions is thinking about our role as stewards of the community's arts programming. And in one way, getting any particular project to become dependent on our budget would not be the best stewardship for them, because we don't know what our budget's going to be every year. And so most funding situations I'm aware of like to think about the kind of opportunities that we afford as the first steps, so that we can start to see organizations begin to operate on their own with other sources of funding, usually implying that they begin to have long-term plans about where they want to go. And that might be something we can begin to develop for some of our repeat applicants, to sort of think about what can we offer them in terms of worksheets of how to plan for the next 5 years for your institution you're looking to build and contribute to our community in terms of funding opportunities. It'd be good for us to help them point out in that way.
Okay. I do say that the system that we have now I like, because it's very transparent and it gives every artist and group a fair chance to compete on the merits of their particular project. And doing it on a year-by-year basis is kind of, I think those who have good plans have gotten money. In fact, Folk and Roots has gotten money from us every single year. So obviously, in some sense, it is working because they're doing a good job and they are getting money from us. So, yeah.
I appreciate all the comments, and I can understand your points, and that this should be part of a larger consideration of a new addition to our project. However, I would like to emphasize that we should not drop this. Just because it hasn't existed before doesn't mean that it never can exist. And since this group has obviously proven itself to be very effective in terms of contributing to the art of Champaign-Urbana, I think that as an art commission, it should be upon us to support them and make sure that they will continue doing what they are doing, because as we were told, they are running on a laughable budget, and they are doing a huge project on that. And they are putting in hundreds, if not thousands, of hours of volunteer work. And it may come to a point where they just get tired of volunteering, and they will drop the whole project. So I don't think that we should drop the Urbana hammer of no on it. Instead, we should start working on it and thinking about how we can make it a reality. And if this is the first group that elevated itself above the rest of the grantees, well, let's start with them. There is nothing wrong with that. We don't have to start competing for every penny. This is what we got. Let's support it.
Well, part of the problem, though, is that most of the projects do have lots of volunteers. Most of the projects are on a tight budget. Again, what criteria do we use to say this one should get permanent funding and this one shouldn't? Because there are festivals that bring in the same number of people as Folk and Roots. So would we then fund them permanently also? I mean, on what basis would we make that determination?
I think that's our task to figure that out. That's why we are here.
Well,
and that's what I'm asking for, that we figure out something instead of rejecting it outright, which I think is a big mistake. I would like to start thinking about something like permanent funds. And we have to figure out how we get that permanent fund, what the rules are, etc. That's how anything happens. If we just don't talk about it, it's not going to happen.
Well, we can leave it open for further discussion. Or, Tom, does staff want to also look into that, or?
As part of the program plan, we've been talking to subcommittees, and we can start the discussion about what would something like this look like, what would the process be, what would the criteria be. So we can try to help the commission come up with, well, I guess we can help with the discussion, and I think the commission, with our support, will have to decide if this is something the commission wants to do, and if so, what will it look like. So I think we can provide some support.
Yeah, Eric?
So I think that, just to follow up on what Tom is saying, I think what we're really here for is to promote the arts. But if something emerges that has the potential for real economic impact in the community, then I think that deserves consideration on that, in that regard. And as far as I can see, I haven't been on the commission for a very long time, but this is the first thing that I've seen that has the kind of potential for a long-term positive economic impact on Urbana, and an impact that's in terms of both economic and also in terms of the ambiance of downtown, very synergistic with the kind of new businesses that we have seen emerging downtown, the kind of boutique businesses, the clever restaurants, and so forth. So I agree. I don't think that the Arts Commission should pick up unilaterally the burden of carrying this forward forever. But I think that we ought to, work with other entities, the UBA, the Tom's department, and so forth, to figure out how, among all of us, we can build on this and make it something that can be a part of Urbana, a part of Urbana's long-term identity.
I think the thing we need to be very careful about here is how arguing for merit based on economic return begins to potentially erode the other support we can offer to other projects. And we, in fact, heard some very dismissive language from the floor during the last meeting about another presentation during the same meeting about why, in a very dismissive comment from the floor from a public attendee here about another grantee that was presenting her work on the basis of it not having made enough local impact. These cracks get wider. And so if we begin to include, and I admit, economic return of art is one of the reasons why Urbana thankfully put some money into this project in the first place. But for every $10 the city has to spend on art, if we begin to say you can have more if you can demonstrate economic impact, that's going to erode the rest. And so we should just say from the start, let's not start with $10. Let's just say 2 of those dollars are going to go to projects that have demonstrable economic impact every year, and just keep we need to separate it out from the whole pot if we're going to make it that clearly argued in terms of merit. So that's my concern here about some of the logics that I've heard put in place around this argument. So.
Yeah, one of the things that also our commission is supposed to be entrusted with is promoting artists and their work. I mean, that is half of it. The other half is that we're supposed to present art experiences for the community in general. To me, those are the 2 missions that we have here. But the artists are part of it. It's not one or the other. It's both. Yeah.
Just a more general comment. The relationship between artists and patrons has never been an easy one and probably never will be. So I guess that's what we're wrestling with.
Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, is there a way we could look at benefiting through in-kind types of opportunities? I mean, you can fix a dollar value to that, but it wouldn't be something that would directly come out of the pot of money that we're using to with grants and things like that. And that could be available resources, certainly facilities, things like that fall into that category. And maybe explore, just what are some aspects that we have as a community that maybe we could lead along with the Park District and other groups in ways, things that are a part of their budget as well right now, that we might meet those needs through some sort of in-kind type of contributions.
That's a good idea. I like that. Yeah, Ilana.
I think that's what would be good about the discussion, continue the discussion to explore opportunities, because since we haven't done it, we really don't know what the opportunities, the potentials, possibilities are. But once we start digging into it, they will show themselves. That's how things happen. But if we negate the entire idea from the start, then nothing will ever happen and we'll never find out anything. And perhaps this will bring something good not only to this one particular group, but several other groups that may emerge as this group has. So I think we shouldn't be stuck in one groove, but we should get out of that groove and do something new if the opportunity presents itself.
Yeah, Barbara. Oh, did you? Oh.
Well, and it becomes sort of intangible because we have I was looking at our guidelines just to remind myself, because we also have these criteria that we follow about enhancing the quality of life while encouraging economic development and social intolerance and promoting lifelong participation and learning in the arts. And I mean, we have a lot to consider, and then how does one become more valuable than the other? Then we need to re-examine the whole way we look at things. Not to say that we couldn't. I mean, I've been sitting on this commission since it was the task force. So I've seen it evolve, and I'm glad to see we're all open to new ideas and making things better for the sake of our community. But you get into some intangibles when you start opening up this discussion.
I don't think anyone's arguing to drop this. No one's, I think I'm hearing a lot of interest in entertaining this, and in fact, it's not the first time it's come up. It's the first time we've had a request like this. But the commission has been talking about this for a long time, is my understanding of what do we do to best support the repeat applicants. So obviously, we're here to, we'll continue that discussion, but to do it in response to a single request is the main, that's what I think we should avoid. I don't think it's wise practice of use of budget, that's all.
Well, yeah, Eric, go ahead.
So clearly, any public commission worth its salt should take something like this as an opportunity to ask the city for a larger budget.
Touche. Well, and then there are groups in town. There are a lot of arts groups that don't apply for these grants because they're out working to raise money on their own and be self-supporting and self-sufficient. And they make great contributions to this community. And we all know someone who's involved in probably more than one of these groups. And they're all out there. So anything that we can do to encourage that kind of commitment, I say go for it.
Well, I think, any other comments? What I might suggest is, since we already have a grants subcommittee, that we start looking at what would be involved as far as in-kind resources and any other way we can support things. Also, to consider the idea of, could we, in some case, do a permanent support, and what would it take and how would that affect all the other things we're doing right now? So I think that would be, Kevin and I would work on that in the next few months. Okay. Okay, I think that closes the discussion then. Okay, next we've got presentation by Lisa on the Urbana Arts Grants cycle. Yeah.
I wanted to present to the Commission the results of the 2014 Urbana Arts Grants Program. Since this is my first time, you might have to give me a little guidance on how deep or shallow I go into this. I've outlined some points, but just let me know if you need me to talk further about a specific thing. The grants program has been around since 2009, and it was charged with making funding available to artists and teams and organizations, businesses and festivals for projects that enrich the lives and residents and visitors in Urbana. In the program's first 5 cycles, 110 projects have been funded, and over $227,000 have been given out for the arts in Urbana. This is the program's 6th cycle in 2014. So with our grant process, we switched systems this time. We went with the WUFU system, an electronic system, which was very helpful, I think, and streamlined the process. The guidelines and applications were basically the same as in 2013, so that didn't change much. The program was promoted locally, regionally, and nationally through various listservs and other websites. And because there wasn't a staff person actually in the position at the time that the presentations were going on in the fall, there was a PowerPoint slide presentation created that were sent out to people that had questions, just not actual physical question and answer presentation. January 17th was the deadline, and the city received 40 applications, which was slightly lower from years past, probably due to the fact of a lack of a physical presentation. But with the 40 applications, the combined total of requested money was a little less than $140,000, so $138,585. And just to compare with 2013, in 2013, with 57 projects, $195,095 was asked for in total funds. And for both years, 2013 and 14, the pool of money given out was $47,500. So on your document on page 3, you can see the jury panels for the two groups, and one met in late February, one met in early March. And the criteria that they used to judge was artistic quality, project feasibility, and community integration. And I just actually wanted to thank the members of the Arts Commission who served on these two jury panels. It's a lot of work and time and effort to go through these applications, and it's a fun process, but it does take a lot of time, so thank you for volunteering for that. Let me get my papers in order for a second. Just to go over some quick statistics. So I said 2014 had 40 applicants, 2013 had 57. The bulk of them were in the multidisciplinary category. And with 2014, we ended up awarding 26 awards to projects in Urbana and 12 to Champaign. And then we had a little increase of grants that were made to schools, where we had 7 grants for Urbana schools and then 6 that were actually awarded. So that gives you a kind of a quick sketch of numbers. In terms of funding, the budget was for 13-14 was approved last April, and that's where the $47,500 amount came from for the grants. And part of this amount included a $5,000 award from the Urbana Business Association to be spread out among groups that they would pick for the Business Backs the Arts Award, and those are in your packet. And so from the 2 meetings, staff recommends that you approve the grantees selected, and they are in your packet, and if you have any questions, please ask.
Yeah, does anyone have any questions or comments they want to make before we vote on approval?
If you want me to go through the grants, I can. I'm just not sure.
Anyone?
Time to review them for a moment, or do we need
Yeah,
to pass
sure.
it tonight?
Well, we need to pass it tonight, but if you want to talk about it, we...
Just review it, to read through it quickly?
Go ahead. No, that's fine.
Oh,
So you want me to go through and talk about the recipients, or?
Not necessarily. For some reason, maybe I overlooked it by accident. I didn't see it in my packet, so I just wanted to review the paper
Okay.
quickly. Sorry to hold things up.
if anyone has any questions about a particular project or...
Question?
Yes, Ilona.
Not really specific to the project, but number 6. This artist plans to paint a multi-story mural at the soon-to-be complete open-air space at 205 West Main Street. I don't know about this open-air space.
I
so
don't either. I was wondering.
Could we get some information about this?
Do we know where this is?
No, I don't.
Tom? It says a soon-to-be completed open-air space at 205 Main Street.
It's Langston's mural.
Yeah.
It's number 6 on the...
206. No, it's not our money in this case. It's Urbana Business Association.
No, she's just asking about the actual space that's
Right.
mentioned here.
the
Where
space,
is it?
Yeah, I haven't heard about this space that's going to soon open.
Yeah, I wondered myself, yeah. Because I was not...
This is Langston's mural?
Yeah.
I didn't, if this is the one we just looked at the last review session, right? I think that was past the mural he's already completed for near the Courier, kind of back behind.
Oh, wait a second.
Words are failing me here. Can you help?
I wonder if that is maybe the address was wrong. I'm thinking it's on the north side of Maine, which would be an even number.
Yes.
205 would be the south side of
Yes.
Maine. So my understanding is that Matt Cho, the developer of Cafeteria and Company and Colab, recently purchased 204 Main Street and is considering doing a partial demo and having an open air space. And so that's, I can confirm that, but it might be 204, not 205.
Yeah, I was
sounds
wondering
right.
where this 205 was.
Yeah, but I'll confirm that.
Okay.
Well, and we can also check with Langston, and he might have had it wrong in his report, as I took it straight from his grant application.
Okay, I'm going to bring motion up to, for us to vote on then as to whether we're going to approve the amounts granted and the individuals and groups granted here by the, that were decided upon by the juries. So all of you who are in favor of approving it, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we have approved these grants for 2014. Okay, next we have the, Lisa will be talking about the program planning process for the next fiscal year, which is 2014-15.
I've actually asked Tom to pinch
okay.
hit for me for this.
Okay.
Sure.
Since
Go ahead,
I'm-
Tom.
Yeah.
Well, this will be a brief presentation in that what you have in your packet is, so the memo itself outlines some proposed projects and funding amounts. That said, we have met with several subcommittees, but we have not met with all subcommittees. So we're continuing to schedule subcommittee meetings to discuss projects and budgets. So in your memo itself, you have some proposed projects with some proposed funding amounts, but what you'll probably notice in the memo is that there are not funding amounts attached to each item because we still have to meet with some of those subcommittees. City staff is currently working on the budget process, and so we've been going under the assumption that this will be a flat budget year, so no decrease, but also no increase. But we're currently working through the budget process. The budget has not gone before council yet, and so this is all proposed. You also have a copy of the approved fiscal year 13-14 program plan, and then also a approved budget for the 13-14 year. So I guess at this point what I would say is you have some proposed items for the upcoming fiscal year. We have to meet with the rest of the subcommittees, so please feel free to ask any questions you have tonight, but also take a look at what's been proposed, take a look at last year's approved program plan and budget, and we will try to come back to you after the remainder of the subcommittee meetings with a more finalized program plan for 14-15 at next month's meeting. So I would be happy to try to answer any questions if you have any, but please take a look at what we've provided and I guess be prepared to come back next month and discuss this and hopefully finalize a program plan in April.
I just wanted to mention again that the way we do this is if you have projects that you want to propose, please do that in your subcommittee, and then we'll take everything into account when we know what everybody wants to do. So if you have things you want to propose, now is the time.
So is our funding year in this, from this commission, Tom or anybody can answer it because I don't know, coincide with the city's fiscal year? So for example, we've just committed money to a set of grants, but the money is going to be dispersed in the coming year, and yet we don't yet have a budget for the coming year. So how does that work?
Sure. Well, related to arts grants specifically, the money that you just allocated was approved in the current fiscal year. So council approved the $47,500 as part of the budget that was approved last June for July 1. So the quick answer to your question is yes, the commission's budget coincides with the commission's budget coincides with city budget. That said, the Public Arts Fund is a separate fund, and if money goes unspent, that money becomes encumbered and stays within the Public Art Fund. So for example, arts in the schools was allocated a certain amount of money, I think in 11-12, and the money wasn't spent until this fiscal year, but that money kept rolling forward and wasn't rolled back into the general fund in any way. So again, the quick answer is yes, you're on a similar cycle as City Council, but the money doesn't leave if it goes unspent. The money stays in the Public Art Fund to be spent on public art into the future. So you're under no timelines or deadlines to get money out the door. It stays in Public Art Fund.
Any questions or anything anyone wants to bring up regarding this at this point? Should we then move on to the Hackberry Tree Memorial? Okay. Lisa, do you want to say a little bit about that, or?
Sure. I'm bringing this before the commission just as a point of information and also as a request. I was kind of brought into this project tangentially by Mike Brunk, as Urbana has kind of dedicated its first legacy tree and found a grassroots groundswell of support for that tree in terms of memorializing it. And Mike wanted my input on kind of a more structured process for that memorialization to make it more equitable and to also kind of get it out more to the community as a whole as a formal call. So I went to the Tree Commission meeting last week and told them about our arts grants process with our, well, actually what we just went through with the forms and the application, and told them about 4 steps: the call for the artist, the forming the jury panel, meeting to choose the proposals, notifying the artist, and the 5th step of the final report. And so my request of the commission would be, would there be 2 members that would want to serve on a jury panel for this Hackberry Tree Memorial proposal once the proposals come in? It would basically be just like our grants panel.
Okay. Any volunteers?
I'd like to do it, and I think I'll be more prompt in responding than I was to the last jury panel. I'm sorry. I'll try to keep up on my email.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Yes. Anyone else? Oh, I'm sorry. Kevin?
Oh, yeah, I said.
Oh, you said.
Count me in.
Oh, okay, okay. Great, good. Just wanted to mention also, Lisa, you had said they hope to be getting some money from Public Works to support this project.
Mike has found some money. It's about $4,000 to $5,000. He just now has to kind of get it officially transferred over. So he'll go before the commission and to council for that funding.
Okay, great. Okay, and then we move on to announcements, I guess. There'd be the Jackson Sculpture dedication. Did you want to say anything particular about that?
Nothing more, except that, again, it will be dedicated on April 19th, and we should know more events and dates and times very soon.
So you'll email us and let us know?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Maybe John wants to say something.
Oh, I'm sorry, John, did you want to say something?
Do you want to say something about the gallery?
Just wanted to mention that.
Oh, yeah.
Jackson has an upcoming show in the Cinema Art Gallery. We just hung most of it this morning. So the opening, I didn't bring my card with me. It's a delayed kind of opening. In other words, the work will be there and the show will be up prior to the opening. But stop by, so you can see the work tomorrow. So.
When is it going through, the show? Do you know?
The show, I didn't bring my card with me, and I don't really remember, but her shows are usually 5 to 6 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got at least a month, and I'm guessing probably more like 6 weeks.
Yeah, so everybody should get out there and take a look.
It's a good show, if I do say something.
I'm going to try to get you an answer right now. He's
Sculpture
looking it
and
up.
paintings. So.
Oh, is he going to find it?
He's on the website now.
So the name of the show is,
That's the last.
that's the last one, so maybe the new one isn't out yet.
I don't have anything to do with the web.
Yeah, okay, yeah, yeah, well, but tell whoever does to get the new, information about the new show up there.
Would be nice. I'll message.
Okay, if there are no oh, I'm sorry, Tom.
I'm sorry, just two quick things. As I mentioned during the program plan report, we will be reaching out to those subcommittees that have not met yet, so expect a communication. And then also, I'd like to welcome Lisa and really thank her because she has really hit the ground running with arts
Yes.
grants and Illinois Arts Council and Hackberry. And so thank you very much to Lisa and welcome. And and again, thank you.
Thanks very much, Lisa.
You're very welcome.
Okay.
Baptism. Your trial by fire.
Okay, I would like to.
Can I
suggest
stick a
someone-
quick plug
Oh,
in?
yeah, go right ahead, Greg.
Yeah, opening tomorrow, Wednesday, tomorrow night, is a large group of Urbana High School students in their spring musical. They're doing Beauty and the Beast. Tim Broker is directing it, and it's, again, a chance for people to see the newly renovated auditorium being stretched to all the limits that all those enthusiastic students can do. So would urge people to come out. It's running through Saturday.
Great.
Actually, Sunday, I believe.
Okay. If there are no other announcements, I'd like to ask someone to move to adjourn.
Second.
We're adjourned. Thanks.